Yeah, welcome very much to Conversations. It's a pleasure, personal pleasure today for one of my best friends and a good friend of the world and a good friend of Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Danny Darrow is our guest, and he's got an incredibly interesting life story that we're going to try and get some detail. He's a very talented person, both vocal and he's got a long experience in show business. Some 300 odd appearances with
Joe Franklin.
Joe Franklin,
Yeah.
who was the father of the kind of television we do here
In New York City.
In New York City, very famous. He was there all the time on the couch talking with him, and has experience in show business. And he's going to help. We're going to talk about his life. That is very, very interesting. And Danny, so good. Welcome once again to Conversations. Good pleasure to welcome
Harold,
you.
well, everyone loves you, Harold, and that's why we're very happy to be
I'm
on your
not sure
show.
about everyone, but my mother did.
Your mother
Yeah,
did?
my mother did. Yeah,
Your mother
my mother
did?
And you know who else? My dog,
Your
Ginger.
dog.
My
Well,
dog
your dog. Okay, your
definitely
dog.
showed me to her
His
that
dog.
she really did love me
Okay.
and everything like
Okay.
that. But we're not talking about Harold Channer here. We're talking about Danny Darrow. And what we want to try and do, Danny, you're a fixture here and in New York City in a very real sense. And I would like to go and talk with you about your own personal experience and so forth, because it's interesting and unique. And because you're a unique person, you're a person who's been in show business and had and understands the nature of it and so forth, because it's an very important lessons can be learned
All right.
about the larger human condition and everything. But could you share with us? Let's talk some about you, and we're going to show a couple of clips
Okay.
of you singing. You have a voice that is as smooth as honey. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, it's really beautiful. We're going to play some of that. But could you share where you were born and raised and your background?
Well, all right.
And let's talk about your personal life, but then to keep it in touch that you represent somebody who's very indicative of a great number of people who want to be in show business or in the public eye even, not necessarily only show business and everything, but also having a voice in the public domain, as it were, which we're involved with here in public access. But share where you were born and raised, and let's talk about your life and your life's experience if you'd go along with me.
All
on
right.
that.
Of course
Okay?
I go along with you,
Where
Harold.
were you born?
Okay,
You were born.
I was born?
Yes,
Yes, I
okay.
was born. I know I was born. I can pinch myself and feel myself.
In a
and I
truck
fe-
in Pocatello,
Yeah, yes,
Idaho?
Yeah, no.
No.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, right.
And Harold, just between you and me.
Okay,
All right.
fine.
Everybody keeps asking, how old are you? How old are you? How old is Harold?
You gotta
and
be
we tell
30.
everyone
Yeah,
that we're 60 years old. We're
Yeah.
only 60 years old, but we were born over 80 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Jack
right.
Benny used to stay 35 forever. You know, he was always 35 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
For people who are old enough to remember Jack Benny. But
Of
yeah,
course, of
yeah.
course,
So,
of course.
so you're getting up there, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
getting up there too.
Well,
I'm
we're-
83 now.
You're 83
so
and I'm
that's
80.
really get up into
Okay.
the advanced years.
Okay, and
yeah.
we don't feel embarrassed about it at all.
No,
because we
no.
tell everybody we're 60.
No.
And that's it. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Well, I don't try to get away with a mere lad of 60 anymore. But I might say I'm 35 or something, but no.
Harold, you're so adorable, Harold. My God, you're so adorable.
Well, okay. My mother thought so too, and so did my dog. But talk about it. You were in Chicago. And what
Okay,
was the
yeah.
family setting like, and so forth?
Oh,
'Cause
my
I
God,
think
I-
it was kind of unique. Yeah.
Okay, I was brought up to become a rabbi.
Yeah. Okay.
I was
that's
brought
big
up
in
on a
itself.
very strict Jewish family, all right?
Wow, okay.
And my father and my grandfather and believe it or not, myself, we were cantors, you know. And we used to tour in Rockford, Illinois, in Danville, Illinois. We used to tour all over the Middle West during the holidays.
Uh-huh.
And and we used to do the rituals and everything else. And we used to pray. Daven and pray is the same meaning. And of course, we used to pray next to, Richard Tucker used to be in one synagogue, and Kusavitsky in another one, and my grandfather in another one, and this was on This used to be Independence Boulevard in Chicago, right off Roosevelt Avenue. If any of the people are watching in Chicago, they know exactly where these locations are.
And those places are still up and going.
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't been back there since 1958.
Would you like to go back and take a walk around the neighborhood, the old neighborhood?
I don't think so because the neighborhoods have changed.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
neighborhood that I was brought up in was a beautiful neighborhood, and I was we used to live right 2 blocks away from a golf course, and I used to play golf when I used to come home from school. I used to go and I used to play golf every day.
What about when you were in school on the lad? Because you say your daddy was kind of strict and so
Very
forth.
strict.
So what was the family scene like when you were an infant and very
When
young?
I was
you
an
can
infant,
remember, yeah.
Well, first of all, I think I made a big mistake, and I entered into the wrong family.
Oh wow.
Okay,
that's,
because I used to have a lot of out-of-body experiences. And I remember floating around in the hospital room deciding which baby to go into.
Oh,
and Harold, I picked the wrong kid, and I picked the wrong family, and I should have never done what I did. But I got stuck. I got stuck because, you know, you can pick the wrong doctor, you can pick the wrong family, you can pick whatever you want, and eventually you find out whether you made a mistake or not. Well, I made a mistake.
You're taking responsibility for where you were when you came out of the womb? Is that what you're taking responsibility for your whole life's experience?
Harold, I didn't know any better. Harold, I was too young, Harold.
Yeah,
I was too young. I was a baby. I was too young.
Yeah.
And I was brought up very strict and very religious. And I used to go to parochial school. You couldn't go to the public schools. You had to go to parochial school.
Parochial was Catholic.
No, it's Jewish also.
Yeah.
And you had to, and they stuck me in there when I was 4 years old. I was too young, but they stuck me in there anyways. And then I went to the Chicago Jewish Academy over there, and you know, and they teach you, you know, the teachings are very, very good. The classes were very small in those years, but they don't teach you how to get along with other people and other religions and other races and other creeds and other everything. And that's what I was missing. And so what I did is I left the Hebrew Theological College. I left the parochial school. I walked right out because the thing is, when I used to be taught the Book of Laws, which is the Gemara, the Jewish Book of Laws, the meanings of the laws and how do you rationalize everything, the biblical stories and everything. And I didn't like it because the rabbis used to teach all these classes, and if you didn't keep your finger on the place, under the word, the rabbi would come and say, "Where are you?" And if you didn't, he'd have a ruler in his hand and he'd smash you across the face.
Wait a minute.
And that's how, this is the years in the 1940s, this is how the Jewish kids were brought up and were taught.
Well, that sounds very, very, very martial-like.
It was awful. It was really terrible. Yeah. And then my father would beat me every single day if I did not go to Hebrew school, and if I did not go to the synagogue with him and pray in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. And he used to beat me bloody. He used to have like a Luxion strap or a braided leather belt. And he used to come home and he used to ask my mother, well, how was the kid? Was he a good kid and a bad kid? And my mother would panic right away, and she'd run in the other room, and my father would take the belt and slash me and beat me and everything, and I'd run into the bathroom.
You're making this up?
I'm not making this. It's a true story.
True story.
A true story, Harold. And I used to go in the bathroom.
You're 4 or 5 years old?
I was about 5, maybe 6 years old. And I would lock the door, put my foot up against the bottom of the door, and he would bang the door, and he would say, "Let me in or I'm going to break the door down."
There's no way you could stand up to a gigantic, full-grown man.
No, of course not. So
old.
So when I was a dummy, I was a young kid, I would open the door, beat the hell out of me, and I'd be bloody and everything and laying on the floor. But I got smart. So every day he would come in, I stuck my foot against the door, locked the door, he said, "Open up the door, I'll break the door." I said, "Go ahead." break the door down. I don't care. So you'll fix it. You'll spend
So
money.
what kind of a relationship was that?
I never had a relationship with my father.
Well, you had that kind of a relationship.
I had no relationship at all.
Well, you had that relationship.
Yeah, the beating and the abuse and everything else.
Was there no moments when you had a chance to just sit and talk about something? And
You couldn't. You couldn't talk to him because all he knew was about religion,
Maybe you just remember all that.
and work, huh?
You remember all that.
I remember everything,
Only
Harold.
that bad time.
Everything.
Were there any good times with him?
Well, I'll tell you, every so often on a Sunday, he used to take my mother and myself out for a dinner, a kosher dinner.
Yeah.
So we used to go to a kosher restaurant and eat a kosher dinner, and that's it. But that was very rare because don't forget, in the early 1940s.
Yeah.
You know.
1940s, all that nonsense going on in Europe. And
I know it.
everything?
Yeah. This was, I think, 1942, 43,
Yeah,
just
right.
before World War II.
Yeah, right.
Things were, I guess, were all right. Were not all right. Then my mother went to work in a defense plant.
Yeah, well, everybody did. When the war came.
Yeah, and everything else, and that's it. And I quit the Hebrew Theological College, and I started, first of all, what I did is I started selling rugs on Halsted and Maxwell for $3. I was making 35 cents an hour.
Could I ask you something? What was the overall economic status of the family? Were you comfortably set in terms of the cost of having the things you need to live well and everything?
Okay.
Was it a comfortable living situation?
Harold, we were living in an apartment for $27 a month, a railroad apartment, okay? And we had, I think, 4 rooms and everything else. And it was the back of the building. The steps were wooden. They were like falling down. We were on the 3rd floor. The Iceman would carry the ice on his back. And
Iceman,
because we had an ice box.
Yeah, remember
we had an ice box.
Yeah.
And they had a coal shed downstairs. They used to shovel coal to keep the heat in and everything else. And that's the kind of life.
I think for a lot of people viewing, it might be hard to realize just the everyday difficulties of living back at that time, much less turn of the century.
Well, Harold,
and there's so much progress being made in terms of just a given ability to have elemental comfort or security in a material sense that is possible as we advance. I mean, it was really tough back
It was
then.
tough, but here, the rent was $27 a month.
Well,
wait a
it's
minute.
hard to put that into perspective. What did that mean in terms of
I'm going to tell you, first of all, the telephone was a nickel for a nickel.
That's right.
You used to go on a streetcar for 10 cents.
You
want to go to a movie, it cost you 12 cents.
Yeah.
Everything was, the money was worth something then. Now it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Money is worth absolutely nothing today.
Yeah.
But, so anyways.
12 cents to get into you can go see a Western. At the
you could
store.
see a Western for 12 cents.
They gave away plates and things.
They gave you
all
away.
Kinds of
they
things to
gave
get
you all
into the
kinds of
movie
stuff. Everything. Candy was like a nickel. You could get a whole big candy.
Did you have milk duds?
Yes, we had milk duds.
duds,
We had juicy fruits.
Yeah, juicy fruit. Yeah.
Everything was like 5 cents.
Yeah,
it was 5 cents.
Yeah.
And those days were absolutely
But
wonderful.
5 cents was real money then.
Was real money, absolutely.
I mean, particularly for a child.
Yeah, no, for anybody.
For anybody.
For anyone.
Yeah. They used to give away plates.
They used
Blue
to give
Blade Special.
here gas was what 23 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Now it's $5 for a gallon of gas. Who could believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the family, was that? It sounds you're talking about him beating a 5-year-old. It's hard for me to imagine that.
My father.
It has to come from a great deal of inner angst.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. Well,
and one would think if you're living under conditions where if you were in Europe and the things that the fascism was growing,
my father was European.
At the door, then you can be real upset and everything on real terms.
Harold.
But to be so concerned that he would hit a young child.
Well,
I guess that happens. It's a theme in movies, like The Jazz Singer. That's the theme that comes up in the movie, The Jazz Singer with Jolson and everything.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to.
Well, listen. My father was European. My mother was American.
Yeah.
My whole father's family was European.
Yeah.
And and they all came here, and in fact, they came here from Minsk and Pinsk in Poland and Russia.
Okay, yeah.
And what happened was that my grandfather was a very, very decent. He was a very lovely man.
Your father's
my
father?
father's father. And
You remember him?
I remember him very well. And
What did he think of his son's behavior toward his son?
I never told him, and my
No.
father probably never told him.
Oh, it didn't become. It wasn't
no.
obvious to one and all.
No. They didn't. My father never told anybody that he beat the hell out of me all the time. But
Are you exaggerating it?
No, I'm not exaggerating.
You're not
Harold.
exaggerating.
No, I'm telling you the truth.
It's
okay.
hard to imagine.
Yeah, but let me finish. Okay. So what happened was my grandfather, during the war, when they were getting to this country, my grandfather was running around and stealing food, like one loaf of bread, to feed 27 people, approximately 27 people in one room. They were living, hiding from the authorities because the authorities were looking to kill them.
Now, your father had come from Europe?
From Europe.
Oh, and your grandfather also?
Europe and the
they
whole.
had run away from the Nazis?
Run away from Germans and Nazis, everything.
Yeah, right.
So they were looking to kill them because they were Jewish and everything else.
Yeah.
So when they got on the train, my grandfather tapped the guy in front of him on the shoulder and said, "Listen, what's your name?" And he gave him the name, and he said, "Look, please tell him that I'm your brother, because if I give them my name, they're going to stop me and they're going to kill me and my whole family."
You're talking about a situation in Europe.
When they
That
left,
was in
when they
Poland,
left
you're
Europe,
talking-
when
was
they
it Poland?
yeah, Minsk and Pinsk, Russia,
Yeah,
Poland,
oh, yeah, right.
that whole area there.
Yeah, right, okay.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was a lot of angst they were carrying over from that, I suppose. It must have been very, very hard to listen to the news coming out of Europe at that time.
My father wanted me.
You have to get out that anger somewhere.
Harold,
I guess.
my father was a very unhappy man.
Yeah, apparently.
He probably wasn't happy with his life and his family.
Well, or what was going on at the time in Europe,
and
too.
who can he abuse and take it out on?
Yeah.
The closest person, maybe he loved me, maybe he didn't love me, I don't know, but he had no choice because I was living in the same house with him.
I know, but you're sure you're not over-exaggerating?
I'm not exaggerating at all, Harold. No, this is the honest to God truth. I'm telling you.
It was alarming regularity, or just
Harold, I ran away from home
Maybe
twice.
Maybe it happened once, and you remembered it as a
Harold,
common
I
thing?
ran away from home twice.
You ran away at 5 years old.
Maybe about 8. When I was 8, I ran away, I ran away, and he tracked me down, and he brought me back home because my mother was going nuts.
What was your mother doing when he was beating up on you?
She was hiding in the other room. She was hiding.
Yeah. But I mean, was there violence directed against her?
No, never against her. Only against me.
Well, what is that? How do we interpret that, or how was that interpreted?
Harold, I don't know how we do it.
Psychiatrists or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I picked the wrong family, Harold.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong family. The family, I should have never picked this family. It was my mistake. My mistake.
Well, that's almost like a joke thing. You had no choice.
I had no choice.
You had no choice in the matter. You didn't pick it.
All right.
They picked
So
you.
I didn't do what he wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't do what he wanted. So when I
Oh, wait a minute. One other thing. Were you a smart ass?
No.
Were you a smart ass, sassy somebody who
No,
just
absolutely not.
him
I was well
Did you
behaved.
fight against him? Did you try to match wits and
absolutely not.
egos with your dad?
Of
or
course
something?
not.
No.
You don't do that. You
Did
respect
you
your
have a death
father.
wish against people that
You
have an
still
older age?
respect your father no matter how crazy the family is.
Uh-huh. Even in the dark of the night after you've been whipped for
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a hard time understanding.
Yeah,
that.
I know you do because you come from a different family altogether.
Well, no,
you were
I
never
didn't.
brought up like I was brought up.
Well, nobody ever laid a hand on me ever.
Well,
you
good.
know?
Fine.
No,
Well, listen.
I wouldn't. No. It's
That's
just
right.
all love.
But wait a minute. But before I was bar mitzvah
Yeah.
and everything else,
Yeah.
he came and he attacked me again.
When you were a grown man, or how are you when you do?
I was going to be 13 years old. And he was
Still,
still
you're
beating
still-
me. He was
yeah,
still
but-
beating me.
Well, he could. You'd be bigger than you still, probably. At
Wait.
13.
So what I did is I grabbed him and I shoved him up against the wall. And I said, "You lay another hand on me and I'm going to beat the hell out of you." And he stopped and he never hit me again.
Oh boy, isn't there a message in that and everything? Is you got that all on tape?
I don't know. Are
If
we
you had that
taping?
on
Is this a
tape,
show?
you'd
What
have
kind
an
of place is
Academy
this?
Award winner.
I have no idea. But
It's a theme that's been in the films for a lot, you know that?
Yeah.
And the people, a lot of Jewish people were involved in making films that brought that theme up. It makes you think of the movies about Al Jolson and the Cantor and all that kind of stuff. Had that kind of a thing attached to it. Yeah.
Well, the background was similar. Probably similar Jewish backgrounds with
Yeah.
Al Jolson and my family, his family.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never met Al Jolson.
No. But the movie, I'm talking about the movie, the jazz singer.
Yeah, the jazz singer.
It was the cantor. And
Well, that's what I used to do. Then I
Yeah.
started working at burlesque and in vaudeville.
Now wait a minute.
And everything
you
else.
didn't do burlesque at 14 or something. No.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk.
We had Minsky's and we had the Rialto Theater in Chicago.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So I used to go there, and they used to teach me. The comics used to teach me. I used to do the straights. I used to come on the stage.
You're still living at home?
I used to, huh?
You're still living at home?
Living at home.
Did you leave home?
I left home in 1958.
And you were how old then?
I think it was 17 or 18.
So you grew up to be a young man.
I
and
grew
you
up to
were
be
with
a
your
young
dad.
man, and then wait a minute, and then
Okay.
after that, I became while I was doing that, as I was going forward. I started singing. I started.
As a cantor?
No, well, I was yeah.
Did he want you to be cantor? Or was
Harold.
That,
Harold.
That came up in the jazz singer.
We
too,
all
the
did
cantoring.
cantoring. We all,
Yeah.
my father, my grandfather, and myself, all did it, and we toured in the Midwest.
I know
But-
you have a voice that's as smooth as honey.
Thank you, my darling.
Yeah, really.
But wait
do.
a minute.
We're going to demonstrate it
Okay,
here
but
later.
then after I left there,
Hmm.
then I started taking singing lessons and everything. I paid $3 for singing lessons in those days. It was
Out
a
of your
fortune
own
of money.
pocket?
Yeah, out of my own pocket
Did your
because
father
wait a minute.
encourage you by then?
Well, hold it a
When
minute.
you were 17, did he start encouraging
Wait a minute.
you?
I used to make 35 cents an hour selling rugs.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started delivering kosher chickens for Mr. Perlman on a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I used to get 25-cent tips all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the chickens used to smell and stink like crazy.
Uh-huh.
And the women used to open up it used to be wrapped in newspaper.
Yeah,
all the time.
right.
Yeah, you open it up, and I used to deliver the chicken, and the women used to take the chicken out of the newspaper, and they used to hold it up, and they used to smell the chicken under this arm and this arm, and spread the legs apart and say, "Kid, this chicken stinks." And I says, "I know, lady, but
Yeah.
could you pass a test like this?"
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, but then I got my quarter tip, and I ran
Yeah.
out of the house so
Yeah.
fast.
You
I had to get out of there.
You had to be quick-witted.
I had to be very
survive.
quick-witted.
Okay,
Yeah. But then I
Yeah,
did
You
that.
are very quick-witted.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. You're just a champ. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right off the top. You're like a natural. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Harold.
Yeah,
I
I
appreciate.
guess you realize. I'm just trying to get the roots of how you got to
Okay,
be that way.
but
yeah.
then what happened? Then I started singing
Yeah.
with all the big bands in Chicago.
Was it coming out of cantoring that you got into
Well,
singing?
that was no.
Popular or
Yeah,
not?
I didn't do cantoring anymore because I wanted to sing jazz. That's exactly why I wanted to sing.
The jazz singer.
The
all
jazz
over it in
singer.
the movie,
So
yeah.
I used to sing with Don Fernando. I used to sing with Lou Breeze many years ago. I don't know if you remember
This is
all
all
these
Chicago?
names.
This
Yeah, in
Chicago,
Chicago. And I also sang with Xavier Cugat.
I know him. He's
Xavier Cugat when he was married to Abby Lane, and then
He had
then
a dog. He had a
wait
little dog, yeah.
wait then I was awarded a gold medal
Yeah.
as the top male vocalist in Chicago in 1954 by the Chicago Sun and Times.
Wow, I don't wonder. I know you got a voice
Okay.
as smooth as honey. I know
Okay,
that when
so
you get
I
around
still
to
got the
singing,
medals,
Yeah.
and then I also did the Harvest Moon Festival because I also took ballet lessons and I
Yeah.
took jazz lessons and everything else.
Is that done in school or after school or what?
No,
what
no,
about
no.
schooling?
No,
Did you
no,
do
that's all
schooling, normal
privately.
schooling?
Privately.
Okay.
So, and then I got a bronze medal for that. So I got a gold medal, and I got a bronze medal. And then I used to be on NBC every day on the Howard Miller Show with June Valley, Art Van Dam, Joe Galicchio at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Still living with your parents?
I was still living with my parents. That's right.
okay.
And so I did that. Then I took a job at Variety, and I had my own byline, and I was a writer.
Yeah.
I had my own column and everything else.
Really?
In the music business, and then I opened up a couple record shops with very little money, and then
You opened a record shop?
yeah, I had
business,
I had a
huh?
little chain of record shops. I had three.
Three records.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you were like entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
okay,
I was a
right,
little
okay.
kid, and I was working. I used to do club dates. Then I used to do club dates with Jerry Van Dyke. Jerry just died recently.
Yeah, right,
Dick
yeah.
Van Dyke's brother.
You're getting into your adult life now.
No, I was
your-
still
in
in my
your thing.
teens. I was
Yeah.
still in my teens.
Well, that's like adult almost.
I know. I
right?
used to work
Yeah,
Jerry
because-
Van Dyke.
yeah.
I used to work Red Norvo, who's the backup Sinatra.
When you say work, you were
I
singing
I was
in
a
clubs,
singer.
or
I was.
What were the venues? What were the venues?
Jazz. It was all
No,
jazz.
you
I
don't.
used to be
No,
the
jazz
front.
is what you're doing. Where are you doing it? Are you doing it on
I was
the
doing
stage,
it
in the film?
No,
on
I was
radio,
doing
or
it.
What? You
no,
know?
I used to work for Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, the Jack Ruby.
The Jack Ruby. And my agent was Pat McLaren. I had an agent, Pat McLaren, a big Irish guy, and he was connected with Jack.
Now you're getting to be 20 or something?
No, I was still in my teens.
All right. You didn't
And then,
lose any time.
yeah, and Jack used to put me in all the joints
Yeah.
that they used to own.
Jack Ruby had joints. What do you mean joint?
In Danville, Illinois.
Yeah. Okay,
all right.
Yeah.
They had 4 joints. They had the Top Hat Club, which was a strip joint.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they had the Adobe Club with Red Norvo.
Yeah.
So I used to do a show at the strip club, bring out all the girls and everything.
Yeah.
Then I used to do a jazz show with Red Norvo.
You're doing this at 17 to 20 years old?
Yeah, it's 16, 17, 18, because I
Boy.
left Chicago when I was 18. And then after that, I used to work with the Jerry Van Dyke at the Lamplighter Club, and then go upstairs, and I used to do a set at a piano lounge with just a piano, bass, and drums, and I used to do 16 shows a night.
Good grief! How could you fit it all in? There's time for 16 shows.
Well, I did. I don't know how I did it, but I worked from 8 o'clock until 3 in the morning.
You're really, really always going at such a pace?
Yeah, always.
Sounds to me like you were going a full tilt boogie, as they say. You were really moving quick.
Yeah, I was really moving.
You were moving quick for a young
Yeah,
man.
well, I had a DDT thing right
What's
up
a
on.
DDT?
It was stuck. And anyways, it was, that's how I grew up.
Uh-huh.
That's how I grew up. And I ran away from the religious, from all the religious things and everything else. And then I had a chance to be on the Arthur Godfrey show. I auditioned for that.
Yeah.
And wait a minute. Oh, this is one of my recordings.
You got some of your recording, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can play something.
When I hear that serenade in blue, I'm falling in another world, alone with you, sharing all the joys we used to know. Many moons ago. Once again your face comes back to me, just like the theme of some forgotten melody from an album of my memory. Serenade in blue. It seems like only yesterday, a small cafe, a crowded floor. As we dance the night away, I hear you say forevermore. Then the song became a sigh, forevermore became goodbye. But you remain in my heart. So tell me, darling, is there still a spark, or only lonely ashes of the flame we once knew? Shall I go on whistling in the dark? Serenade in blue. It seems like only yesterday, a small cafe, a crowded floor. As we dance the night away, I hear you say forevermore. Then the song became a sigh, forevermore became goodbye. But you remained in my heart. So tell me, darling, is there still a spark, or only lonely ashes of the flame we once knew? Shall I go on whistling in the dark? Serenade in blue.
My God. Yeah, Harold.
Bravo, bravo,
Yeah,
bravo,
Harold,
bravo, bravo.
Harold, I want to tell you what year I did that.
Yeah, I was trying to put it in, yeah.
That's 1953 or
Way up.
1952.
That's still way back, but not...
Way back. And
Yeah.
then Josiane's going to play another one also now.
There's another of him singing. Okay, yeah. Good.
You saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Oh, moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Oh, moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Oh, moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.
Bravo!
Well, that's
Right.
this
So
is
they
that's
don't
when I
make
was a
songs
kid.
like that
That's when I
anymore.
was a kid,
How
Harold.
old were you when you did that?
Wait a minute. It was wait 47, 47. Wait a minute. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. I was about 16 years old.
Only really at that?
Yeah.
I heard you
because-
sing it down here in the studio a little while ago.
Well, now, listen. I have about 100 selections, a little less, on iTunes, Deezer, Rhapsody, SoundCloud. I'm all over the.
Those are all things on the net where you've got music, right?
Yeah, they're different with high strings and big orchestras. And I recorded with the Hungarian Symphony
Is
Orchestra.
it all in one place, or how do you have to get to those individual?
No. When I was recording, when I came to New York,
Yeah, I want to get
and
to
everybody wanted me to record and
Yeah,
everything, so
yeah.
I started recording for a lot of different
that. How
labels.
did you get out of Chicago to New York? How did it happen? And how did you get in touch with Franklin? And how did you become such a presence here in New York City?
Well, all right.
We are, after all, in New York City.
First
the
of all,
trouble is your life is too interesting.
okay. Well, first of all, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
My hair was very long.
Yeah.
And I had to get my hair cut. I had to
Yeah.
get my hair cut, and I couldn't find a barber here.
Yeah.
Because when I was in Chicago on NBC, I used to pay $25 for a haircut in the 1950s. That was very expensive.
That
I
was
couldn't get a haircut,
indeed.
so I finally got a barber over here. And
You're in New York now.
In New York, and when I went there, I told them, now look. This is how I want to have you cut my hair. I want it very long on this side, very short on this side. I want 3 holes on the top and very ragged on the back. And I want it to look just like that. He says, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
No,
And said-
I would hear
and-
what he said.
Wait a minute.
I can't do that, they would say.
He said, I can't do that, but I said, yeah, but you did it for me last time you cut my hair.
Yeah. He had done it for you before. He had? Is that what you do?
He didn't know what he was doing,
Yeah.
a lousy barber.
Oh.
Terrible barber.
Oh, I see. I have to get the joke.
So I had to find another barber.
Yeah.
Another barber.
But you're getting into New York from Chicago, right?
Yeah, then I got
So
here.
I think of you as New York.
Well,
right?
I
Yeah?
auditioned for the Arthur Godfrey show,
Oh, really? All right.
and
Did you
I
get
made
on
it,
there?
and I
You
sold.
got on Arthur Godfrey? That was a big show.
It was a big show, and I left. I sold my
That's
car.
television now, is
Wait,
it not?
Television,
Yeah.
yeah. I sold my car, and I sold my businesses, and I sold everything I owned, my clothing, and everything else, and I
Yeah.
moved here. And
Oh,
the
from
show
Chi-
that
you were still from Chicago.
yeah,
then. You
and
just-
the
okay.
show that I was on went off the air the week before, and I got stuck in New York City.
Stuck
Stuck,
in New York
yeah,
City.
yeah. And I
That
said,
could
"Oh
be
my
the
God,
name of
I
the
missed,
movie.
I missed my golden chance
Yeah.
and everything else." And I was staying at the King
What do you
Edward.
mean? Because it was Arthur Godfrey? You were
Yeah,
putting your
because
bet down on?
everybody on Arthur Godfrey got jobs. They became known. They became celebrities.
Oh, and
They-
did you appear on Arthur Godfrey?
No, I never did.
What happened? You
Because the
didn't get
show
on?
went off the air a week before I was scheduled
Oh
to be
my
on.
gosh! It had been scheduled.
I
ahead
got
of
a-
time.
a terrible
And
break.
You did everything getting ready for that big break.
Everything.
That was the big break.
That was the
would
big
be
break.
part
That
of
would have been a
movie. You
big
could
break.
see a
So what did I
Hollywood
do?
movie.
So what did I do? So I ended up. What did I end up? I ended up in the
Maybe
King
this-
Edward Hotel. I was paying $17 a week.
Maybe this is a period we shouldn't talk about so much. Maybe. Huh?
Why we shouldn't?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, that seems like a dark period. Or
Well,
something.
no, it wasn't. It was a wonderful period.
Oh, okay,
It was
okay.
a
Well,
wonderful
we'll talk
period.
about it.
Everything
Talk
was,
about it
was
then.
wild as hell. I was eating in the same restaurant with the Lucille Ball at the Oasis on 44th Street.
Lucille Ball? She
Yeah,
was
the-
the star of stage, screen, and
Yeah,
radio.
she was
yeah.
eating there too. I used to have oatmeal every morning for 12 cents.
You ate 12 cents?
12 cents for oatmeal, absolutely.
You hear that, folks?
Yeah,
12
and
cents for
Jerry
oatmeal,
used to
yeah.
own a place called the Oasis.
Yeah.
And I used to struggle. So what I did,
So-
what I did is I had to go and I had to take jobs in the Catskill Mountains.
Oh, up in the
Yeah,
Borscht,
yeah,
in the Borscht Belt.
in the Borscht Belt.
Yeah,
So I had to
yeah,
sing
yeah.
over there, sing
Yeah.
over there, and I ended up, working for a lot of unscrupulous agents, bookers.
Are there unscrupulous agents
Many
in show
unscrupulous.
business?
They-
I'm shocked.
Harold,
Yeah.
at your age, you should never be shocked.
Yeah.
You'd
Well,
never be
maybe-
shocked,
maybe,
Harold.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've seen you and myself have seen just about everything in life.
Yeah, well, we've been through a lot. I
We've been
know
through
that,
a lot.
but I never had any. That starting of your life with your dad doing
Yeah,
that, that's
yeah.
hard for me to imagine.
But
yeah.
then
it seems so unfair.
I know, but then after that,
big person.
Yeah, then I teamed up with my buddy Sid Asher,
Yeah.
and Sydney used to get me jobs. I used to host the United Cerebral Palsy telethons all over
Good
the
for
country.
you. That's great.
And I used to bring on the stars and everything else. And then I started writing and producing a lot of my shows. And I produced a show and wrote it called After Frank Sinatra Died, a salute
Yeah.
to Frank Sinatra, the man
Yeah.
and his music.
He was great,
And
yeah.
I was booked in the Tavern on the Green.
Yeah. Good
For
venue,
1
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
An agent
Really?
called me. and
Yeah.
says, "You want a booking?" So I brought my three-piece band
Yeah.
with me,
Uh-huh.
and I was booked in there. And then Warner Leroy says, "You were so wonderful that we're going to keep you, and you're going to."
Is that the Leroy family?
That's the Warner Leroy that owned the Tavern on the Green.
Oh.
And everything, and the restaurants.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah, okay,
And then
yeah,
he
yeah.
says, "This is your home base." And then he died. Another tragedy.
Yeah.
And then
happens,
so
yeah.
I lost that. But Josie Ann has a clip, a short clip of part of the show, the salute to Frank Sinatra, the man and his music that
Is
I
it a
wrote.
video clip?
Yeah, a video
Yeah.
clip. And then wait,
Okay.
Hirschfeld wanted to put it on Broadway.
Hirschfeld, I knew Hirschfeld.
Okay, Hirschfeld
yeah.
wanted to put it on Broadway,
He was
and
a
he
character,
was
yeah.
producing.
Is he the one with the
Parking lot,
garage?
yeah,
right.
And
right.
he was producing a
Oh,
the
he's
show.
got it going. Let it
Okay,
go.
and
Let
here
it
we go.
Yeah, he's dug all those chicks all over town. He didn't take things quite so seriously. Hey, not Frankie, do you agree? Life is a song and dance, life is a joy. Hey, life is a wild romance, life is a toy. Life is a field of clover, blue sky above. And Frank had a cup rimming over with L-O-V-E. Oh, life is a summer breeze, life is a
How did you hold your breath so long to get that last key? That was wonderful.
That's why I got my gold medal.
Yeah, that's really good. Is there more? Wait, there's more. There's more. Wait.
Group here.
I don't know if they got our
My
audio
brothers
or
in
not.
my band. I'd like to introduce them to you. First of all, on drums, very dear friend, wonderful drummer, Mr. Joe Gucciardi. Next, on bass, very dear friend, another brother of mine, Mr. Stephen Roth. And
You still in touch
on
with these
piano,
guys?
my conductor, a blood brother, great musician, Mr. Stefan Davidian. Gentlemen, stand up and take a bow.
And my Stefan just died. He just died April the 1st
Thank you for
Oh, I'm sorry.
from
Gary?
cancer. Yeah.
Is our
Here
voice
we go
being
with another
recorded now?
selection
Are you
from
going
a
to? Yeah,
song
okay,
Frank
they can hear us
Sinatra.
talk. Yeah, okay.
Man and his music.
Didn't know. Yeah.
A few
You look
songs
very suave.
I know you're going to remember. Frankie made very famous.
You made me love you as you're singing?
No, wait. Maybe songs that Frank did.
Luck, be a lady tonight. Luck, be a lady tonight. Luck, if you've ever been a lady to begin with. Luck, be a lady tonight. They call you Lady Luck, but there is room for doubt. At times you have a very unladylike way of running out. You're on a date with me. The pickings have been sweet. And yet, before this evening is over, you might give me the You might forget your manners. You might forget to stay. And so the best that I can do is pray. Those fingers in my hair, ah, that sly, come hither stare, that strips my conscience bare, it's a witchcraft. Hey, and I've got no defense for it, the heat is too intense for it, what good would common sense do? Hey, 'cause it's a witch. Wicked witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. I proceed with what you're leading me to. There is no ancient pitch, but one I would not switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you. Hey, 'cause I've got you under my skin. And yes, I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart, yes, you're really a part of me. Well, I've got you under my skin. Hey, I've tried so hard not to give in. Well, I said to myself, this affair never really won't go so well. But why should I try to resist when, baby, I know so well that I've got you under my skin.
What'd she say?
Anyways, that was. You see Stevie?
Yeah, you got on the piano?
On the piano, yeah.
Yeah, really great.
He was,
Music
yeah.
backup, yeah. It's great, yeah.
He was 74 years old. He died April the 1st, Harold.
Just now, yeah?
Yeah, of cancer.
Sorry. How old are you in this? You look 17 or something, or you look very
What?
young. You look very young here. When did
Yeah.
you do this?
This is a clip from, I think it's, this was when, I think in 1980 or 1980,
Okay, yeah. Well, you look great.
so it's 38 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got you, hey, under my skin.
Did you ever meet Frank?
No, never met him.
So come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in Old
Old
Bombay.
Bombay.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
Hey.
Hey, come and fly with me, let's take off to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Fly with me, let's take off. When I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide, starry-eyed. When I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near.
That was the Jewish entertainment hour.
Yeah, right.
Angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a groovy day. I'll just say those words, and we'll beat those birds down to Acapulco
Acapulco
Bay.
Way.
It's perfect for a flying honeymoon. They say, hey, come fly with me, let's fly away. Let's keep that party polite and never get out of my sight. Hey, stick with me, baby. I'm the monkey you came in with. Hey, lock me, lady. Don't mess with me, baby. Come on, lock. Hey, be a lady tonight.
Bravo! Bravo! Author! Bravo!
God,
Boy,
that-
you had some lungs, man. You really held that tune for a long time.
Yeah,
there.
well,
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
yeah.
still alive, Harold.
Yeah,
I'm still
kicking
breathing.
it.
It's the
That's
miracle.
great.
It's a miracle at my age.
That's really great. That's
I know,
really
but don't
good.
tell anybody that you're over 60. You can't
No.
say that anymore.
You can't say it
No.
anymore,
You
no.
tell them I'm only 60, but I was born over 80 years ago.
Yeah,
That's
well-
it. That's it.
Miracles do happen. I
Yeah,
guess,
miracles
right?
do happen. That's
Anyway,
right.
you're a New Yorker, right? And you got with Joe Franklin, right? He was a good close friend. And
Yeah,
he was a gigantic figure.
He was
in
a
New York
sweet
City.
man. He was a very sweet man.
Absolutely
And
wonderful.
he always liked to help people and
Yeah,
everything else.
right.
And he did over, I think, 300,000 shows.
Is that true? That many?
Well,
Yeah.
I did only 300. He did over 300. And he kept telling me, Danny, you did over 300 shows with me? I said, I did?
Yeah.
Did I do that? Joe?
Yeah.
But also,
Where he's on-
listen, even on YouTube, I have Remembering Joe Franklin. I
Yeah.
did 2 shows.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in his office
Yeah.
in all the clutter.
Is that the place out for 40 seconds for 40
Yeah.
seconds?
Well, wait a minute, but there was so much junk and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
albums
right.
and
Oh, I've been
everything in
there,
the
I've been
office.
there, yeah.
And I'm showing clips on, because on my little TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. And Joe used to always tell me, I said, Joe, why don't you clean up this office? This office is a disgrace.
What'd he say?
I said, how can anybody live like this? This is terrible. This is awful.
Did a lot
He
of
says,
good stuff.
Danny, everyone in New York lives like this.
Maybe it's true. Yeah.
It looked like a junkyard.
Did he claim to know where everything was? He could go and pick something out.
Yeah, he
couldn't
knew what everything was.
He knew where
Yeah,
everything was
yeah,
in
it
there.
was
He's the only
terrible.
one in the world that could.
Terrible.
Like King Solomon's mines or something in there. to
That's-
find-
no, it
yeah.
was worse.
Yeah, worse. Worse already. Yeah, right.
It was worse.
No,
Harold.
but so you came to New York as your place, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah. You've been doing that like that and everything like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
yeah.
you're doing that, and now you're doing your show. Are you doing stuff now?
Well, I'm doing stuff now. I have
What do you think of show business now? and everything?
show
What's
business.
happening with all
Well,
the
first of all,
internet and everything?
you know, it's a cyclical business,
It's
Harold.
cyclical, yeah.
Cyclical.
Yeah.
And there's so many different changes in music and everything else that happens. I think it's every 8 years or every 10 years.
Yeah.
And the music industry has changed so drastically that you don't hear any big strings, big orchestras, big stuff like when we used to grow up. It was romantic, it was beautiful with all the wonderful music. All we hear now is music that's compiled by the kids in the basements, and there is no structure, in my opinion, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
There's no structure to music anymore, to beautiful music. It's just they just make up as they go
You
along.
sure that's not just old people talking about? You don't understand what the young people are coming up with?
Well-
'Cause the young people, things keep changing.
Keep
And
changing.
maybe there's an advancement. Maybe things are getting better. Maybe.
Well, listen, it all depends.
Remember how they put down
who all-
boogie woogie?
It all depends who's looking at it and whose opinion you're listening to.
Yeah, right.
All right. So I mean, you know, as old, I'm an old fogey. Okay. So I mean, as an old fogey, I mean,
You're pretty good for an old fogey. You kick it pretty good for an old. If you're an old fogey, I don't know what. You know. Yeah.
So you know, I mean, you know, I go back to the big orchestras. I recorded with the Hungarian Symphony Orchestra, 100 strings, 100 voices.
Yeah, my
And
God.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to record with all the big stuff and you know and everything where it was lush and beautiful and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And I used to write a lot of the songs as well. And wait a minute, but I was the first one in 1979 to do rap. I ended up doing
Wait
rap.
a minute, that was a big venue. I mean, that's
Wait
a
a
big
minute.
thing that happened.
In
rap,
fact,
yeah.
if you go and type in Danny Darrow on the Google or YouTube or anything,
Yeah.
you're going to see songs like "Doomsday" and "Telephones" and "Corporate Lady" and "I Sing You" and "Falling in Love" and stuff like that. And you're going to hear all the different styles that I had to develop. You know, to stay in the business.
Falling in love seems to be a very real theme that's been in music for
Yeah, in
a
fact,
long
one of my
time,
albums.
like-
One of my albums is,
I think they
is
were
titled.
singing that song in Cro-Magnon Caves.
Well, wait, there may be a lot of
No.
songs titled "Falling in Love."
Maybe I would have thought so. It's a major theme.
It's a
in the
major
human
theme.
nature.
So one of my albums, I have a title, major album, "Falling
Yeah.
in Love."
Yeah. Do you really?
Yeah, because I have 4 albums out, and you know, and they're all
There's
over.
a song, "Falling in Love."
Huh?
Falling in love. Da, da,
No, it's
da,
it's
da,
different.
da, da, da,
Harold, you gotta hear it. It's a different thing entirely.
No, it is different than that,
It-
right?
I mean,
you know
there-
what I'm singing, yeah.
Harold, there could be 20, 30 songs titled "Falling in Love," and they're all different.
I should think there'd be a lot of songs around that theme. That's a big theme.
I
isn't
know,
there?
I
It
know,
seems to
I
have
know,
been there
I
a
know.
long time.
That's right.
What are the other major themes that have been in music?
Oh, Harold, I don't
Or
know.
what is the themes that drive show business and everything?
The themes that
Yeah, it's-
I don't know if it's a theme. I think it's called money.
Money.
I think it's called money, Harold. Money drives show business. I don't know, you know, and the thing is that, you know, people today, they have to tour. They have to go on tour, and then they end up selling records, and they sell millions of this and millions of that and millions of this. But, you know, a lot of the figures are not correct and are not true, because when I was with a label, it's not around anymore. It's called Dot Records. Randy Wood had Dot Records, and Pat Boone years ago was one of his major singers, and he was claiming that Pat Boone sold millions of copies.
I think he did.
But
yeah.
wait a minute. He never did, because the
didn't?
returns, when the stores send in the returns, there was millions of returns. And they never count the returns, because when the records come in, they take the returns. And what Randy used to do was he used to hire a ship, take all the returns, all the vessels, take them out to the ocean and dump them. And he used to dump all the returns and all the records in the ocean.
Now, what is that, part of a business plan or
That was
something?
part of all the businesses. And then what happened was, and then they used to send out new records from other singers to swamp them. You send me one return, I send you a new release, another release, another release. And everything was based on records shipped, not on sold.
Oh.
So when they said, we sold over a
Sounds
million
like
records.
creative bookkeeping to me.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
When they said that they sold 1 million records, it was not. It was shipped 1 million records. It was never sold. And that's how they created all these.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that in show business? Are you telling me that in show business there's some flim-flam going on?
No fooling, Harold.
No, I'm shocked.
You're shocked.
Here,
Don't be shocked.
Midwestern boy shocked.
I'm telling
at
you
the
what went
flim-flam
on.
that's-
What went on in the record business,
yeah,
Harold. Went on in the record business.
Well, you've been there right along, right?
I've been there right along. I recorded for a lot
and
of
you're
different
still
labels.
kicking it, right?
And I'm still kicking it.
Yeah.
But I'm not over 60. 60. No.
No.
But I was born over 80 years ago. But I'm not.
Yeah.
No.
But your story is, they ought to make a film out of your life. Do you think they could make a film out of your life?
A film?
It sounds to me, and the audience, I would ask the audience, don't you think that a lot of the themes that we're talking about you personally at the beginning and everything like that, but it's a lot of themes that came up in the movies about, like the jazz singer.
Yeah, it's
like
the same type
singer
of period.
all
Yeah.
over again, because there's a cantor,
Yeah.
and there's this, and you're
Yeah.
not going to be a cantor,
Yeah.
and those
Yeah.
stories and the fighting with the cantor and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
seems to be characteristic of a lot of people who made it big in show business,
Yeah.
including Danny Darrow.
Yeah.
And
I think I think not only myself. I think there's a lot of maybe a lot of other people had the same storyline,
Yeah, right.
but it never came out. It never came out. But I'm sure people lived similar lives.
Well, a lot of people in the show business did.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And show business is, they say, well, there's no business like show business. No business I know.
Yeah, that's
everything about it is appealing.
That's what you think, yes.
Everything that traffic will allow.
Yeah, listen,
Now,
Harold.
where do you get that special feeling when you are hearing
When you are
Danny
stealing
Darrow,
that extra bow.
stealing that
Extra
extra
bow,
bow,
I know.
by Danny Darrow, the
Well,
great
Danny Darrow or
baritone.
whoever else,
Yeah,
whoever
yeah,
else.
No.
But Harold,
But Danny, you know how to carry a tune.
Yeah, I carry
You
it on
do.
my
You
shoulders.
don't
In fact,
cut it out.
I have a backpack,
Cut it
Harold.
out,
I put it in my
it's
backpack and I
comedy.
carry it with me,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
walk around New York City, and that's what I do all the time.
I was a straight man for that. I set you up for that comedy joke and everything like that. But anyway, Danny is so good and everything. And I'm glad to have gotten some of your background and all that. It does make up the stuff. Don't you think, people in the audience, you could make up a real movie about your life?
Yeah,
that
you
would
can make
be-
up a real movie,
that
but
would
who
be-
wants to do it?
Who would star? Who would be the star of
Who would
the
be the star of the
Danny
movie?
Darrow
Well, they'd have to get a
story?
little kid.
Danny's story. What would we call it? Danny's story?
No. They'd have to think of a better title than that.
Boy, the pipes are calling.
Yeah. They'd have to have a real great
you could
title.
make a play on Danny Boy. You could use
Well,
that as-
listen,
you
I
could-
almost got
we
on
got
Broadway
something going
with
here,
Abe
maybe.
Hirschfeld,
Yeah, Abe
but-
Hirschfeld, wasn't he something else?
But Abe said that he was involved. He got caught. It was an attempted murder on his partner, and they sent him away for 5 years to jail. And when he got out, he would have been 95 years old. That's what he
Yes.
told me.
Yeah.
He says, "I can't do your show. I can't do your show." He said, "I'll be 95. It'll be too late, and I can't do it." I said, "Abe, I'm sorry." He said, "It would have been a great show."
Abe Hirschfeld. Yeah. I knew Abe. Yeah.
With all his terrible jokes.
yeah.
Oh my
Thank
God.
God for show business, right? It would be so dull if it was just all accountants or something,
Yeah.
Thank God for show business
Yeah.
people. Some of the best people in the world,
I know,
think,
but
you
he
know?
had so much money. Oh my God.
There's
Coming
that
in-
great big show called Politics. That's another
Yeah,
thing.
that's right.
But one of the problems you do in everything is a problem of time. There's a time is clock. The clock is running. We run out of time.
We ran out of
Danny,
time.
Thank you.
Oh, love you, darling.
Thank you. The
Love
world
you, Harold.
is going to be pleased to have this program.
Harold,
and
the wonderful Harold Channer. I'm so happy to be with you, Harold.
Well, it's so good to have you on the show, and it's really a story that I'm not sure. Okay. Thank you very much for viewing, and we'll be coming right back in tomorrow. So, Danny, thanks a lot. For
And just send love and kisses to the audience.
Absolutely,
Love and kisses to everyone, to everyone. Love and kisses.
And it's such a very well-led life, Danny.